This week on Supercars Talk, it's still freezing in my shed, Melbourne's back in lockdown, Super2 gets their prize money cut, but we've got racing this weekend. So, who knows what is happening? Melbourne's back in lockdown. All the teams made a dash to get across the border before the borders got shut down. Have we seen anything like this since, kind of, what was it, like 1938? And, some blokes were invading some other countries over in Europe. It's unprecedented times. I've heard that saying a hell of a lot recently. So basically, nobody knows what's going to happen from week to week. On last Tuesday morning, we were joking at work about we might not be able to go and see any customers or anything soon. And then by the afternoon, it was like, oh, well, it's not a joke anymore. We can't go anywhere. Being in Melbourne. So I've had quite a few people ask me over the week and that what's happening with Sandown, which is who knows at the moment. It's the teams are in Sydney now, or the Victorian teams are within New South Wales. So some are in different parts. Most are kind of at Sydney Motorsport Park at the moment, and you've got the Kelly guys who are at their parents' farm, which seems like a bit of an impressive facility. Puts my shed to shame, but anyway, they've got a bit more money than what I do, so we don't know. At the moment, everything's okay in the rest of the country. So if they stay in that kind of Sydney hub, they should be okay to travel to Queensland and Northern Territory and get those rounds out of the way. It looks like Darwin could possibly do a double header. So they'll go up there for 2 weekends in a row, or, stay up there for 2 weeks, have racing there 2 weekends in a row. And a little side note on the Darwin round, it is going to be on free-to-air TV, live on free-to-air TV. A lot of people complain, how do I watch the Supercars if I don't have Foxtel? Well, you get, as far as I know, you get a delayed, shortened kind of telecast on the Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, or on the Saturday and Sunday. I think it's on the Saturday night and the Sunday afternoon. You get a bit of a shortened, condensed thing. You're not paying for it, so you get what you're given, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm a big one. KO's $25 a month, I think, and you can, if you're a bit shifty, I think you can watch 2 concurrently, so you could split it with a friend. So $12.50 a month. I'm sure nearly everyone out there could afford that. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough that I'm going to say about free-to-air, and the Darwin round will be on free-to-air live. And that's because Gold Coast and Newcastle aren't happening this year, which were 2 of the free-to-air rounds on the Channel 10 contract, so that are definitely not happening. As I said, Sandown, we're not too sure what's going on there. And also the 500 at the Bend was supposed to be part of that. Or no, actually the Bend wasn't, because Sandown was. So there could potentially be, 3 events, depending what happens with us Victorians and COVIDs. So anyway, free to wear for Darwin for everybody. We're going to see a combined Super 2 and Super 3 grid on the weekend. I'm not sure, this was talked about earlier on in the year. I'm not sure if it was officially confirmed, but apparently it is happening for the weekend. Apparently they've got 25 cars entered. Be interesting to see if all of them do turn up, and kind of the quality of some of them, because we did see some of the Super 2 teams make the dash. I haven't actually counted up who are Melbourne and Queensland teams and things like that, and who actually made it. The main guys seem to be they seem to be, say, Randall and Kostecki and Will Brown, guys like that, seem to be fine. They'll be at the event. They're the guys that we probably want to see. I think it's a good idea combining the two fields because it just looks better, really. 25 cars running around in, even if there is a big gap between them, looks better than kind of, 10 or 12 guys running around in Super 2. And so Indy Lights recently, they've had some small fields and a lot of people have been degrading. So even though you might have had, 5 guys up the front that, are really, really good young blokes kind of at the front battling it out, because the field's been so small, people say that the guys winning the championship, they had no competition to beat. Well, most of the time you've probably only got, 4 or 5 blokes that can win the championship, and you've always got the same blokes up the front. But it looks like you've done a lot better job if you beat, say, 24 blokes rather than beating, say, 10 or 11 other blokes. And speaking of Super 2, the prize money for the year, the big 500k prize that they were going to give to the winner, which was actually only a 400k prize to the winner, and it was only for them to step up the next year, and then they were giving 100k to the Rookie of the Year, which was towards their budget for the next year, so 500k in total. That's not going to be awarded this year due to COVID problems, unless they get a sponsor that's going to stump up the 500k. But they will be giving the prize money for each of the rounds, which just sit down on your seats because these figures are unbelievable. They give $5,000 to the winner of the Super 2 weekend round. So that's not even per race. That's for the whole round. You get 5k if you win. Now, settle down. $2,000 if you finish second, or $1,000 if you finish third. So, people have been saying that the Super 2 budget for the year is, say 500 to 800k, depending on which team you're with and how far up the front you want to run and things like that. I'm sure there's people doing it a lot cheaper, but towards the front, they're your kind of budgets. What are these, 6 rounds this year? So you could win a maximum of $30,000 of prize money if you won all of the rounds. There's issues there. I think even, your 400 stepping up prize, although if you are spending, say, 800,000 on a Super 2 budget for the year and you got a $400,000 prize to step up, you'd have a pretty healthy budget to go to a main game team. 1.2, I think you definitely buy yourself a seat in the main game for that kind of money. I think there's a few seats that have probably been bought for much less in the recent past. We have got some racing this weekend back at Sydney Motorsport Park, back on the same track. As I explained last week, the tyre situation, 2 sets of softs, 3 sets of hards. Didn't really work that out too well for the cameraing. Anyway, that will throw a bit of question mark in the strategy. So, will you use all your softs in one race, or will you try and keep them? The only thing is you can't mix and match the compounds on the car at the same time. So if you run a soft, you have to run all 4 softs. If you run a hard, you have to run all 4 hards. But you can start the race on softs, finish the race on hards if you want. Be interesting, something for them to talk about, because I suspect that if it wasn't for that, because of what happened last time, we would see a bit more of a convergence of all the strategies and people doing similar things. So at least this is a bit different. They will be running on the same track layout. Did have the opportunity to run the short or the longer track. The longer track, let's not waste our time, but the shorter track could have been something a little bit different. There will be a twilight race on the Saturday. that could be interesting to watch. Once again, we have got on the Saturday the two 10-minute qualifying, knockout qualifyings, and then the top 15 shootout. So might be a good chance to have a nap in there. And the 32-lap race on the Saturday. Sunday, then we get two 10-minute qualifying sessions, but one of those for each of the races. And then the two 32-lap races. Telecast will be a little bit more interesting because we have got some Super 2 racing. I think there's a couple of sport categories like the 86s and the Porsches that were supposed to be there. That's not happening because I don't think they made the border dash and it's all getting a bit too hard. At least, we got the main guys to watch over the weekend. In other quick news, Team Sydney is looking for a number one mechanic. So I thought about throwing my hat into the ring because, I've changed spark plugs once. I've, changed oil a few times. I do a bit of mechanic work on my push bike. So I reckon I could be half a shot at getting, but didn't really want to relocate to Sydney and, at the moment can't go anywhere. So give that, in all seriousness though, at least they are looking for team personnel. So it is probably moving forward. Maybe the, rumours that the team isn't going to see out the season are not true if they're looking for personnel. So watch this space. And our friends at Speed Cafe have just put up a poll. Should Supercars pursue the Camaro for Gen 3? Okay, a few things with this. Well, the Camaros, they're not going to produce it. I think next year's the last time you're going to be able to produce, or that they're producing it in America. It's not being sold. I think they've actually stopped selling it here already. I think some of the dealers still have stock, but essentially you can't even buy it here. So who's interested? Why don't we... Let's just go back to, a VZ and be a, Commodore and Falcon. Because, it's not like we're racing new cars, so may as well go back to that, hey? Sometimes I wonder if this is just pure clickbait or they're being genuine about this. If we're looking at market relevance for the series, I think we should go down the route of the trucks. So this is what, blokes are buying your Rangers, Colorados. Well, it won't be Colorados anymore because Holden's going, but like your Rangers and your Amaroks and your Hiluxes and stuff. But instead of doing that gay Super Utes thing where they tried to make them, let's make them all on the same chassis, all have the same engine. Maybe you could have a Ford one and a Chev or something like that, but who cares because Holden and Chev not going to be around anyway. Let's all have the same chassis, the same gearbox, the same engine, the same, and then you put a bit of a body shape around them, have them low, have them loud, have them, and because they're a truck, don't put wings on them and stuff. Just let them go, all the grips in the tyre, give them stickier tyres or something, let them have a bit of a bash and barge. This is what people want to see, and there is a bit of relevance there to the manufacturers. If the cars and the chassis and the engine and the gearbox and all that are relatively cheap, if you can get a manufacturer to say like, yep, thumbs up, we want to be involved in this, we'll pay $500,000 or whatever, and get the chassis designed and the molds made or whatever to fit the body around as long as it looks like it. Doesn't have to be the exact dimensions because this will be one of those, kind of whatever you call them, jacked up four-wheel drive ute things. It's not going to be like your one that, terrorizes you on the highway in the morning. That's you got its 12-inch lift kit and its big mud tyres. This will be, a nice low racing version that spits flames and stuff. So, it doesn't have to look exactly like the road car as long as it's got a fair bit of resemblance, And these things are selling like hotcakes. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion down in the comments, or shoot me an email, supercarstalk@gmail.com, and enjoy the racing over the weekend. I predict we're probably going to have Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen doing some more winning. Fingers crossed Nick Percat is up there again, but until next time, I'll see you later.
I sleep with my hands across my chest and I dream